Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd fa bismillah assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Indeed, all praise and thanks are due to Allah, and peace and blessings be upon His Messenger. Proceeding to the video, we begin with Allah's name subhanahu wa ta'ala, so peace be upon you, welcome and greetings. We're going to go to the second part of the second video now, inshallah, in the series, in which we're going to cover the Qalqala. So the Qalqala is it consists of 5 letters, and if any of those 5 letters has a sukoon on it, or if you decide to pause on any of these letters, meaning that it has something on it but you're pausing, so you're going to read it with sukoon, then the noise will be bounced. And these 5 letters are ba, jim, dal, ta, and qaf. So instead of bringing out some long-winded explanation, let's just try to go into examples and see what this means, inshallah. So we're going to start off with a few examples, and the color that you might normally see is red, so we're going to do that. So if we go with alif, or for example alif fatha, qaf sukoon, ra fatha, ra sukoon, and ta fatha, mim sukoon. So right here you can see that the qaf has a sukoon. So that means that we're going to bounce that qaf. So instead of saying aqrartum, we're going to say aqo, aqrartum, aqrartum. So we're going to bounce that qaf a little bit. Aqrartum, aqrartum. So now in another example, we can go to, if we mention the word al-adhab, B, and then we put a little ta stop, and then we put a wama. Okay, so if we make this a little smaller, we're gonna see it stop. So now if I say al-adhabi wama, but we notice there's a ta stop, so we're gonna stop there. So we see the ba with the kasra. We're not gonna read it with kasra because we want to stop there. So the way it's gonna be pronounced is like this: al-adhab, or al-adhab, and we're gonna put a sukoon on it. Al-adhab. So instead of saying al-adhab, adhab, we're gonna say adhab. Adhab. You hear the little bounce at the end. Adhab. Another example, we can go to qaf fatha, ba sukoon, lam dhamma, qabalu, qabalu. So we kind of bounce it. Qabalu, b, qabalu. So the same is true for dal. If we say ad or adana, so we have alif fatha, noon dal, and right here adana, adana. So instead of saying adna, we say adana, 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 and it's basically like this. So if we just go for random examples, alif fatha, jim sukoon, aj, aj, we say aj. So if we want to say with a ta, we'll put ta sukoon, and we'll say ato, 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 ato. So the difference between alif with a ta sukoon and ta sukoon, if we say ta sukoon, we're not going to bounce this. We're just going to say at, at, at. And if we say the top one, because that's qalqala with ta, we're going to say ato, ato. You hear me kind of bouncing it. Ato, ato. So that's what the qalqala is. And again, when you see it on a color-coded Tajweed mushaf, depends on which one you're using, but from the ones I've seen, you'll pretty much see this one, the color red. That's why I decided to use red. So we're going to stop off at the qalqala. Actually, before we stop off, there's one more exception to the qalqala, is that if you stop at a place in your recitation where there's a shadda on a letter, so if you remember, if we say the word haqqo, right, with a shadda, and we have a little ta stop, and then whatever word next, right, we're going to make that little stopper sign. So if we stop at the word haqqo, you have to remember that the shadda means that the letter comes twice. So this is what you're really seeing. So when we remember that this is what we're seeing, we're gonna, instead of saying haqqo, right, so at the end we see this little qaf with a fatha, we're gonna replace that with a sukoon as well. So now you have 2 of the letters with a 2 letters with the qalqala that are with a sukoon. So you're going to make sure that you do a double qalqala. So basically, if you're going to stop here, you're not going to say haqqo, haqqo, haqqo. That's normal qalqala. Super exaggerated qalqala, which is what we want to do, is haqqo, haqqo. And in Suratul Masad, which I'm sure many of us know, Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. So if you check that, if you check the ayat, Surah Masad, ayat number 1, you're going to see that at the end of the ayat, there's a shadda on the ba. So that means that you're going to double it. And then if we say it, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. Double that one. Ma aghna anhu maluhu wa ma kasab. Wa ma kasab. So tab, double because there's a shadda, and then in the second ayat there's not a shadda, there's only the fatha on the kasab. So we're gonna stop there, and if we stop there, we're gonna just bounce it normally. Kasab, kasab. So you hear the difference on a double qalqala and a single qalqala. And that's basically this video, and we'll conclude it there over here, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.